Good morning, my name is Lucia Mendoza, and today's presentation lesson is about hyperthermesia. Hyperthermesia is a rare syndrome where only 60 people worldwide have studied cases known to have this. Hyperthermesia, also known as hyperthymestic syndrome, is a condition in which an individual possesses a superior autobiographical memory, meaning he or she can recall the vast majority of personal experience and events in his or her life. A brain with hyperthermesia. Hyperthermesia has to do with the hippocampus and the temporal lobe. The hippocampus is tasked with converting working memory to declarative memory. Then, the memories are stored in the neocortex. Declarative memory is a form of long-term memory that uses a conscious recollection of specific facts and events. For example, your favorite corner store is only open until 8 p.m. on Fridays. The time the corner store is open until is an example of declarative memory. Declarative memory has two types of memory, semantic memory and episodic memory. Semantic memory is like remembering how to use scissors or knowing what a dog is. Episodic memory is like remembering your first day of high school or your very first kiss. Every time you remember an episodic memory, it goes through a loop. Every time that episodic loop occurs, some minor details lack or change entirely. But someone with hyperthermesia, they don't have this forgetful trait. In addition, researchers have found that the temporal lobe is much more bigger when doing an MRI. Hyperthermesia explained. Simply put, hyperthermesia allows a person to remember every single day of their life in great detail, which seems like something from a comic book. The word is rooted in ancient Greek, hyper meaning excessive, and thymesis meaning remembering. There are many positive and negatives of having hyperthermesia. Positives would be like people may gain a lot of recognition from this syndrome. So they could be well studied and people knowing off the streets, or they're going to TV shows a lot. Second, you will never forget your daily tasks, like when laundry day is or when to pick up your kid from soccer. You'll always be there on point. And the third, you won't forget people's birthdays, so that way they won't nag. There are negatives about it. The one that triggers the most is any item of or event that may trigger the stimuli can trigger an unwanted memory. For example, any past abuse, sexual abuse, trigger words or past anger. Anything that can trigger it can cause it to be a very sad memory. There are three characteristics that define people with hyperthermesia. 1. They talk more about their past compared to other people. 2. They have an abnormal ability to remember specific events from their own past and clearly than others. So they remember what they did September 3rd of 2004, what they were wearing, what they were doing, what event caused that day. 3, they can remember 200 plus events in the span of a given year, while most people generally remember around 8 to 11. There are a lot of well-studied cases about hyperthermesia. The one well-studied would be Jill Price. Jill Price was born on December 30th, 1965 in New York, New York. She is one of the most well-studied cases of hyperthermesia, also known as highly superior autobiographical memory, or in some recognition as HSAM. Since she was 14 years old, she could remember anything that happened in her life. Jill Price describes it as being haunted by the never-ending stream of memories. 2 will be Brad Williams. Brad Williams was born on October 8, 1956 in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. He was considered by scientists the man with most memory in the world. In an interview by CNN, he was given a time and day and he was able to tell you exactly what he was doing in any event that had taken place that specific day. Last but not least will be the astonishing actress Marilu Henner. Marilu Henner was born on April 6, 1952 in Chicago, Illinois. Marilu Henner is an actress where she premiered in the hit TV show Taxi. Although this show may have aired a long time ago, David had an interview with this astonishing star and recalls her remembering the day she had gotten the part on the show. They recall and quote saying, "It was June 4th of 1978. It was a Sunday and I found out at the Grease premiere party." Henner said, "Taxi is so vivid in my mind. The very first rehearsal was July 5th of 1978. That was a Wednesday, and her first role was July 17th. Last but not least, in conclusion, all in all, hyperthermesia is still being intensely studied, and for good reasons, to help hyperthermesia patients understand themselves better. Scientists also are revolutionizing the way they could one day treat various forms of dementia. That's all for my presentation. Hope you have a lovely day.